Welcome back. This week we're going to finish off those kick plates we were doing last week. We're going to focus on the design for the door trims for Boss XC, but I want to go back a bit and show you some of the other cars we've done with the door trims in some of my early builds and some of Simon's, so that'll be interesting. So stay tuned for the credits because we're adding a new segment in now that's Astill Design Extra. So that'll be things like the lawn, what else I might be doing with the ute, something else that's not Boss XC. So hang around for that, and thanks for joining. Don't forget, click subscribe. So following on from last week, I had to finish off these rears. So these ones here had to be made out of a few pieces as well because we've changed the length of things. So to get this to shape into the floor how we want it to be, and then to follow up and go up here to the shape of the XC. So we're going to run that pinch weld all the way up here, up this side. So I've had to cut and weld it here, a couple of welds through here as well, and now that'll all join in, and then this will unclip. So it's had the brackets made with the screws, so it'll unclip and pull out of there, so that'll be made up of 1, 2, 3 pieces. So this is the other side. It's pretty much shaped up now. So all of these things will want refining. The trimmer, when Simon gets on, he'll sand these up and probably fill them a bit here and there so that they all flow and work out well, but our job's then to get the structure right. So he's been involved in that process as well, but we've taken on the lion's share of it. So in doing all these plastics, one of the other things we had to accommodate was the seat belt. So that there is the belt out of the FG, and we're utilising the original top mount from the XC, and then down the bottom the XC had an internal retractable seat belt as well, so we've been able to mount that in the original XC position, and we've now got a bolt with a spacer set up down the bottom whereby that bolt goes through and allocates the retractor inside. And then I've just found one of these covers which is off an XC coupe from the top that we can utilise to cover our bolt and all the bits and pieces that are there, and that'll go down and cover the bolt, and it's all nicely structured, and then that runs down through that top area as per original XC. So very happy the way that looks. Just looking now, we're going to need a little cover to go over that. If anyone can think of a car that has a cover over a bolt about that size would be good, because on the FG this is all encased so you don't actually see the bolt. So the seat's progressed a fair bit since you've seen it last. So the headrest now just got a bit of loose foam on there. We're just trying to work out a thickness for that. But the actual shaping of the seat is pretty much finalised now. Just did a bit of a seat check. So it's a little bit full in here still, just it sort of grabs on the ribs a bit. So Peter's about similar size to me, so I'm sort of doing the testing for him at the moment, and it's very comfortable, plenty of leg room, and we're just checking all our clearances everywhere. And then the construction wise, it'll actually have the leather coming wrapped around the back, so this has got to be rounded off yet, and then obviously covered, and then we reckon the headrest will run with about that thickness, which is like an XC, and obviously all that'll be rounded up. But so far, very comfortable how that looks, and our seat belt positioning as well over the shoulder is virtually the same as what the XC was, which is ideal. Okay, so this week's all about the door trim. So we've done the dash last week, we've been doing kick plates, all those things over the last few weeks. So we really got to look at the structure and how we're going to go about it. So Simon's from Elite Custom Interior. He's been working on quite a lot of custom stuff, and he also did a lot of work with re-leathered trims for the new car market, but his focus now is on the custom side of things. And there's a few good photos there of a Commodore that he done recently, also a Chev pickup in a nice tan with some really nice little touches that go on those. And then of course his brother's EH, that was a Street Machine of the Year winner, that had a really unique custom trim in it. And it's all about getting a flow in the car that the dash, the door trims, the seats, the carpets, they have a theme about them, and you actually get that whole car to look like it belongs. So for us with this car, we've got that same problem, whereby we've got an old car, got a late model dash, now we've got to combine the door trims to bring all that together. But before I show you that, what I wanted to show you was what I've done in the past as well. So my early cars, like the old original Rock Solid, was back in the day where we did brushed aluminium door trims with the Zeus fasteners. I rebuilt that car to what was known as Rock Solid 2 or Rock 2. And that was then trimmed with the Recaro. So it had Recaros off the shelf in it. So we got some Recaro fabric and did a matching door trim and retrimmed the back seats, which sort of was better flow and not so race car. And then the third build, the Rock 3, the blue version, which everyone knew with the big rock up the side. When I built that car, or rebuilt that car, Cadzilla had just come out in the States as a custom car, and I really loved the trim in that. So that trim was done by Rod Lingard when he still lived in Broken Hill. And Rod and I got our heads together and looked at the Cadzilla's trim and went about then putting together a trim that worked and flowed once again as a complete package, and of course the door trims. And the photo you'll see there, I struggled to find some photos, but I found one of the back door trim. You'll see it's got some patterns in it and also a door handle, and that door handle was basically made out of a block of wood, had a couple of holes drilled in the bottom. You could put your fingers in to close the door. And with typical custom things, it's funny how those holes were then filled with the plastic tube that you got your film, your 35mm film back in the day. So it's about innovation. You don't have to make everything. You don't need a plastic printer and a CNC machine. You can utilise things that you have in everyday life to do what you need to do. So in more recent times, a lot of what we've been doing is resto mod. So the door trims themselves have been off-the-shelf reproduction, but once again, you can play with that. You can do the GT style, you can, if it's an XC, you can do GXL, or a combination of the two where you do something that's a little bit unique but still has the right look and the right feel that came from Ford, but you might delete the carpet off the bottom, you might put an extra badge on it. I can remember back with my panel van, I made a set of flat door trims with that, and the badge I used on that was that actually said custom, came off an old custom Fairlane, which I think was like ZF. They had a model called a custom, and I had those badges on the door trims. So it's about finding what you like, what suits the car, gets that nice flow about it. And then of course, in more recent times, Tailspin, which was a totally unique car in itself, but it had the traditional steel dash in it and late model seats, so then you need a door trim that's going to flow and work with the rest of the car. So we'll put some photos up with what I'm talking about, and hope you enjoy that, and then we'll move on to how we're going about doing the XC door trims in Boss XC. So the next part of the interior process is the door trim. So what you're looking at there now is the XC, so this top plate, the rusty bit, it's come off the old door trim. So I'm going to give that a clean up. And then the masonite section there is, Simon's had those made up, and the company he buys those from, but he's had them made without any of the holes in it for the door handles, because obviously we're going to have something different. So new panels, new clips, and we'll now go about trying to make that fit up with some FG stuff. So this is what we're starting out with. So that's the standard FG XR6 door trim. So that came on the car that we pulled apart, and then we were fortunate enough to be able to score another one when we were doing one of our pick apart trips to get that we've cut up. So we're taking that, and I'll just show you that to give you an idea, especially on the top here. So we're going to end up with a black top like that with that insert, and we'll be changing the colour of the insert, and we'll be using this door handle. So to be able to do that, and to do it on this panel, so you can see there it's already had the piece cut out for the door handle. that other door trim's been cut down to the point now where the only part we're using on the top is this piece. So part of that process is to be able to work from here and trim this down until such time as we can get it to work with what we need. And then the door handle, it's been removed. So that's the rear one, so we need a front one. So this has been removed off the back. So when we do the next phase, we need to stick that on. So our door handle will fit through there. And then we'll be utilising the clip-in panel. So to get all of that process going, so we've got the flow in with the dash, we'll mount that, and then underneath that will be our switches and our door handle. So we've also taken the steel frame off the original doors that held the door handle, and also are planning to utilise the speaker as well. So we'll have different speakers, but we need to mount the speaker. So once again, this will give you a bit of an idea. So this is that front trim. So it's been cut down, pulled apart to work out how much of that we can use, but also just to determine the shapes that we're after. And I'll mock some of that up for you and just show you the sort of plan we've got for that. And then it'll be up to Simon then whether he uses plastics or whether he uses custom wood to actually make up the balance of the door trim. So one of the first requirements was to get this door trim to fit through here where it's going to line up with the dash so that we can have a nice transition. So when the door's closed, you know, first of all we've got a gap that works its way through there, but also whereby the plastics all line up. And when we're looking back through there, and I'll go around the other side and show you that it looks like it belongs to start with, but secondly, things line up. So when I come around the other side and look back through, we have that silver panel lining up and the lines all working, and we're really happy the way that's coming up. And as you can see there's lots of room on the bottom of that door to be able to fit the extra panels on it. So the next part to that is to work out where our armrest is going to be and to be able to open the door up, or pull the door closed I should say. So this is the piece that was off the original door trim. As you can see there, he's got his line there, so we're looking at something like that. So that'll make up that shape. And we've got the positioning there for our switch for our electric windows and also for a door handle. And where that door handle goes, the intent is to utilise the original frame off the FG door, which we kept when we pulled that car apart. So that'll fit there, and that'll need to be mounted to the door, and obviously a hole in the door trim where it'll go over it. And then that way we can utilise the drop-in plastics that'll go into that frame and all hold it together and be nice and secure to be able to close the door. So it gives us the switch, the handle, and then this area through here is where the speaker will go. So the car's got quite a substantial sound system going in it. So once again we've got to look to work out where that's going to go. So this piece used to go up from underneath there, so we'll be running something similar to that. And obviously we need this curvature here to still be able to fit against the dash when the door closes. So it's one thing after another and a progression to work through. So this particular trim here has been, the factory XC one's been trimmed down because we need enough clearance now for it to actually clear our plastics. So I don't think I've shown you before as well. So that's the original plastics on the seat. And this is the original foam off the FG seat. So with our door opening now, that's pretty much what we're going to be looking at. So that'll be all covered, will all look nice. But to get things to clear down inside here, so along here we need enough room to make sure when that door closes there's nothing binding up all the way down through the bottom there. So it's progressing, it's looking good, and I think it's going to actually all fit, and be difficult to work out how we managed to do it if you weren't watching this video. So down the bottom, we're still looking to try and keep the matte pocket in the door. So it'll be made something like that. So it'll have a pocket there. It won't be big enough to take a drink, I wouldn't think, at this stage. So the matte pocket along the bottom, and then we'll need to change the shape, make our own speaker, but you know, a speaker cover that'll fit in that section there. It'll be a different shape, and that'll have a 5.5 inch split in there. So we've pre-wired the wiring loom for that. So it's a bit of a jigsaw, but it's taking some shape, and I think going to look awesome when it's done. So with the rear door, the plastics off the FG in this area were quite large, so actually had to trim it down and reduce the thickness here, because it doesn't seem to correspond with the front very well at all. So at this point in time, we're looking that we may just take this opening for the door handle out of this plastic and make the whole thing from scratch, because it might be easier. And then where the seat goes in the rear, this is where it fits around here. So it's probably going to be a case that we've got to get you know, a pocket or some shape, because the door trims will be two-toned. So we're working on that whole two-toning thing, and you can see there you get an idea with one door in front of the other to make sure that they match. They come out of the same car, but it's surprising just how different they are when you put them into something like this. So we've been looking at and trying to work out, you know, whether we can find a line to do the two-tone. So at this point in time, just been talking with Peter today to work out where we go with those lines, and I should be able to report on that next week as we start to move forward with that sort of stuff. Ideally we can get our structures planned here, and Simon can get on and start doing something about making the trims up. So we'll also be using the complete console out of the FG. So a couple of the advantages there is, first of all, we've got rear air conditioning, so that'll all be still hooked up, because remembering all the floors original, so all that ducting and all will run back through there. And then because we're using all the wiring, we get the benefits of having USB ports and power outlets, so all that'll work. And then that centre unit there will actually be updated as well, so we'll let you know what's going to happen with that. So it's all taking shape. All these plastics look really good now. They've all been trimmed and made to fit. It's looking good. So after all the cutting and shutting and planning, we've got ourselves to a point now where we're pretty happy with the way that's looking. So next week we'll start building the bottom sections. And I mean, part of the issue is just to get everything to flow, to get that front and rear door to flow together, and utilising the best of both worlds from the XC and the FG. And you can see there that seat's been making some progress as well, so looking all very nice. So one of the issues with having a car in the build is all the parts that you got to deal with. So as we're getting further and further into this and more bits finished, this is the problem you have. The car takes over your house, your bar and the workshop. But that's what we do. So as quick as it came, it's gone again. So it'll be interesting to see whether we get any more, because there's still a few clouds out there. Got the lawn sorted this morning, so we had 25 mil the last 3 days, and as you've seen in the other bit of footage, a bit of hail is to go with it. So this year I'm just struggling with a bit more winter grass than normal. I don't know what the story is there, but we'll eventually get that under control. So did Dave's lawn as well this morning. Didn't do it the other day, but it's come up pretty good. So I mowed backwards and forwards rather than up and down today, and got the stripes starting to happen, which is good. Nothing better than a few stripes in the lawn. So, a little bit overcast, and we're due for more rain today, so that'll keep them under control, and I'll probably want mowing in another couple of days. So this back one's coming up a treat. The stripes going on, so you would have seen the hail on here yesterday, so still a heap of crowd today, but not as nasty looking as yesterday, but we're meant to get some more rain today.